Why do people keep saying you look younger than your age? Is it your skin, your smile, your metabolism? No. It's something deeper, something you didn't even notice you were mastering. And that's why it's powerful. Most people don't age because of biology. They age because of resignation. They let the world wear them down, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Every time they give in to impulse chase, cheap validation, live without structure, they trade a piece of youth for comfort. And comfort is the most expensive drug there is. You know that moment in the mirror when your eyes look tired? That's not age. That's entropy of will. That's your soul getting quieter because your life stopped having weight. And that's what we came to shatter. This isn't a video about skincare or aging gracefully. This is a confrontation with every habit that is silently stealing your youth. Not the youth of your body, the youth of your presence, your clarity, your force of being. The Stoics said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. But how do you be one in the modern world flooded with dopamine traps, noisy opinions, and a culture that praises surface over substance? That's where this series begins. At Victory Stoic, we fuse ancient Stoicism with modern psychological warfare, drawing from timeless minds like Marcus Aurelius Seneca, and now blending perspectives from voices like Dr. Jordan Peterson, Viktor Frankl, Carl Jung. Why? Because the battlefield has evolved. And your tools must too. If this resonates, if something in you knows you've been letting too much noise in too much chaos take root, then the following truths might just hit home harder than expected. These are not tips. These are principles, the kind that fortify you from the inside out. They don't just make you look younger, they make you live younger. If this message hits a nerve hit like, so we know you're out there. Subscribe to join a community that grows sharper, not just older. Share this with someone whose light has been dimmed by daily chaos. Drop a 1 in the comments if this topic sparks something in you, or a 0 if you're not quite sold yet. We take every reply seriously. Your input shapes how we evolve. And this time we're evolving hard, merging Stoicism with the best of modern thought, bringing in crossfire dialogues between ancient wisdom and top-tier psychology. Let's build this new perspective together. This is more than philosophy. This is a system. And the first sign that you're winning is when people look at you, pause and ask, wait, how are you still like that? Let's begin. Number 1. Timelessness is structure. Why living by principle keeps you young. There's a silent kind of pain you carry when you keep changing just to belong. You walk into a room and scan it, not to observe, but to conform. You dress like them, talk like them, think like them, and slowly something inside you begins to rot. Not because you're weak, but because you stopped being real. The cost of trend chasing isn't ridicule. It's erosion of identity. And by the time you realize it, you're a hollow shell of borrowed aesthetics and secondhand opinions, unsure where they end and you begin. Trends are comforting because they offer ready-made approval. If you mimic the look, the lingo, the vibe, you'll be tolerated, maybe even admired, but it never lasts. Because trends expire fast, and with every wave you ride, you lose another piece of your spine. There's no rest in chasing relevance, and there's no youth in that anxiety. You age faster when your values shift like sand, when your core is dictated by the temperature of the crowd. Seneca wrote, "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich." Living by trends is living by opinion. It is a poverty of selfhood. It might not show on your bank statement, but it drains something far more precious, your presence. Now imagine a man in his 40s in suburban Chicago. Let's call him Tyler. He buys the latest sneakers, follows TikTok routines, updates his slang to mirror whatever's popular on Twitter that week. he's doing everything to feel young. But here's the paradox. The more he imitates youth, the older he seems. Not in age, but in desperation. His energy is scattered. His image is unstable. No one remembers him because there's nothing consistent to remember. Now picture another man. His name is James. He dresses simply, speaks slowly, doesn't comment on things he hasn't thought through. He has a schedule, a craft, a mission. You may not notice him at first, but once you do, you remember him. His presence lingers. That's not charisma. That's alignment. That's what timelessness looks like. Jordan Peterson once said, "If you don't stand up as a hierarchy of values, you will be consumed by those of others." He wasn't talking about fashion. He was talking about your soul. In psychological terms, those who lack a stable identity are more prone to chronic anxiety, impulsive decisions, and emotional burnout. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, McRae and Costa, 2003, shows that high levels of neuroticism and low conscientiousness, both linked with trend chasing, are predictors of poor long-term well-being. In contrast, individuals with stable personal values and self-directed goals report higher life satisfaction and resilience. Peterson's point is this: if you have no structure inside, you'll bend to every structure outside, and that bending over time breaks you. When you chase what's fashionable, you outsource your worth to the crowd. But when you live by principle, you reclaim authorship of your life. Now here's the Stoic take. Epictetus taught that true freedom is internal coherence. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Trends lie beyond your control. They belong to the mob. Principles belong to you. The Stoic man doesn't dress for approval. He dresses for function. He doesn't speak to impress. He speaks to express truth. That alone keeps the spirit fresh. And that freshness is the real youth. You want to appear timeless? Then build a life that isn't time-stamped. That means curating a code you live by, a set of rules that are yours regardless of season, hashtag, or platform. For example, create a personal constitution, a short document, 5 rules you don't break. Rule 1, I will wake up at the same time every day. Rule 2, I will never argue online. Rule 3, I will read 20 pages a day. Rule 4, I will never complain about things I refuse to change. Rule 5, I will say what I believe, even if I say it alone. Print it, read it daily. When the world shifts, you won't, because you've already decided who you are. The great Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. Chasing trends is that distraction. It's not fashion, it's avoidance. A man without values clings to signals. A man with values generates them. And that signal is unmistakable. It radiates through his posture, his speech, his choices. That's what people respond to when they say, "You seem younger." They mean, you still seem anchored. So here's a practice every week. Pick one principle and live it deliberately. Just one. For example, this week I won't explain myself unless absolutely necessary. Watch what happens. People will notice. You'll notice. Your center of gravity will deepen. Your movements will slow. Your face will relax. Because you're no longer performing. You're being. True style is consistency. It doesn't scream, it stands. It doesn't chase, it draws. And when your life is rooted in principles, your face will show less tension, your body will carry less stress, your eyes will speak of something rare, equilibrium. Because you don't look young. You look undefeated. Number 2, the unbreakable mind wears no wrinkles. Think of someone who's been through hell and came out glowing. Not fake smiling, not pretending. Glowing from the marrow like a candle that melted and reformed into steel. You see them and sense it immediately. They've seen things. But they are not broken. And that presence, quiet yet powerful, rewrites your idea of what youth is. Let's talk about Maya, a 38-year-old nurse in Detroit. 2 years ago, she lost her husband in a car accident and worked double shifts to keep food on the table for her 2 kids. Her hair started graying early, but her face, calm, focused, alive. People often ask her, "How do you stay so strong? You don't look your age at all." She smiles and says, "I don't let stress make decisions for me." That's not just resilience, that's cellular rebellion. You don't age because of time. You age when suffering goes unmanaged. Chronic stress is not just a feeling, it's a chemical war inside your body. High cortisol over long periods accelerates telomere shortening, the literal end caps of your DNA strands, as shown in research from the National Academy of Sciences. That means your cells die faster. Your skin loses elasticity. Your immune system weakens. And all of that because your mind was left defenseless. Resilience is not about acting tough. It's about building an internal shock absorber. Imagine stress like rain hitting a rooftop. A strong mind has proper drainage. A fragile one floods and rusts. When you can stand in the storm and not be moved, your body doesn't panic. And that serenity inside your veins preserves you. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is not motivational fluff. It's biochemical truth. When you stop resisting hardship and start absorbing it, your system stabilizes. You stop bleeding energy into resistance and start storing energy for regeneration. That's how warriors stay youthful. They don't avoid chaos, they metabolize it. Now think of resilience like muscle memory for the soul. Every time you face hardship and respond with poise, you strengthen it. You upgrade your nervous system. And in time, your body reads that strength and reflects it in posture, in eye contact, in skin tone. This is why the most resilient people often look vibrant, not because life was easy, but because they refused to collapse. Jordan Peterson builds on this. He says strength is the product of struggle. You become strong by voluntarily facing things that terrify you. According to Peterson, avoidance breeds fragility. The more you duck life, the more brittle you become. His psychological framework, rooted in Jungian analysis and behavioral exposure therapy, shows that when people consistently confront fear, their brain rewires to process stress more efficiently. That means less cortisol, less anxiety, more presence. Let's try an image. Picture your inner self as a dam holding back a turbulent river. Every trauma, every setback is a new surge of water. If you never strengthen the walls, it cracks. But each act of courage is a layer of concrete. Each act of composure is steel reinforcement. Eventually, you don't just survive the flood. You redirect it, turn it into power. Here's a practical tip: create a resilience ritual. Every morning for 5 minutes, sit in silence and consciously recall a moment you overcame something hard. Replay it in detail, how you felt, how you responded. Then tell yourself, that strength is mine. I carry it into today. This neural priming activates your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for emotional regulation, and reduces amygdala overactivation, meaning your stress response system becomes less reactive. Now let's zoom back into real life. Picture Logan, a 45-year-old mechanic in Arizona. He was diagnosed with early-stage cancer 2 years ago. Instead of spiraling, he cleaned up his diet, built a home gym, read meditations, and journaled every night. His face rugged but centered. His laugh full. You'd swear he was in his 30s. Why? Because he didn't let stress freeze his life. He used it to reforge himself. And that new version, less afraid, more grounded, is physiologically younger. back to Stoicism. Cleanthes, an early Stoic, once wrote, "Lead me, Zeus, and you, destiny, wherever your decrees have assigned me. I will follow without hesitation." This is not passivity. This is cosmic composure. When you stop raging against reality, your system releases the tension. You no longer secrete stress hormones for things you cannot control. And that peace is not just spiritual, it's visible. It walks into the room before you do. Modern psychology aligns with this. Studies on post-traumatic growth (PTG) show that individuals who process adversity with structured reflection and purpose-driven action display improved cognitive function, reduced inflammation markers, and increased vitality compared to those who repress or avoid. Meaning your pain can renew you if handled with presence and principle. A daily exercise: every time you feel stress rising, pause and ask, is this within my control? If no, exhale slowly and release it. If yes, act decisively. This two-step Stoic filter not only sharpens your mind, it lowers your physiological stress footprint. Your body interprets decisiveness as safety, and safety keeps systems young. Your youthful energy isn't in your face cream, it's in your stress response loop. When you build the inner scaffolding to hold firm in crisis, your biology thanks you. Your skin glows because your cells aren't busy fighting imaginary fires. Your eyes shine because your nervous system isn't fried by constant alarms. You look younger because your body believes you're safe inside yourself. So no, you didn't get lucky. You earned this. Every scar taught you strength. Every heartbreak hardened your will. And that refusal to be shattered by life is the most youthful trait of all. Because you don't look young. You look invincible. Number 3, the ageless power of adaptation. Aging begins the moment you stop letting life reshape you. The body wrinkles second. The mind stiffens first. You've seen it: people whose faces are locked in the past, whose words echo old decades, whose beliefs have expired but still haunt their speech. They are not old because of years. They are old because they stopped updating their operating system. Fear of change is a slow death in disguise. And clinging to what once was is like hugging a skeleton hoping it will warm you. The world moves. Reality morphs. And those who refuse to evolve aren't preserving youth, they're committing decay in slow motion. Let me tell you about Rebecca, a 42-year-old former English teacher from Kansas City. 10 years ago, her school shut down. Instead of lamenting the loss or waiting for things to return to normal, she signed up for online UX design courses. Today, she leads a creative team in a tech company. Same brain, new context. Same core, different container. She didn't fight the current, she built a raft. This is the mindset of the truly young. Not the one who avoids wrinkles, but the one who welcomes reinvention. Youth is not a timestamp, it's an interface. And adaptable people always update theirs. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." That's the silent killer arrogance dressed as certainty. When you stop being curious, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, the soul begins to rot regardless of the skin it lives in. Here's a brutal truth: many people aren't tired because of effort. They're tired because of resistance to change. Their mind is constantly clashing with reality, replaying what should have happened, how things used to be. It's like trying to drive forward while staring into the rearview mirror. No wonder it exhausts you. Jordan Peterson once said, "To navigate life properly, you must accept the tragedy of being." His core idea: life is chaotic, uncertain, sometimes cruel. But within that chaos lies your ability to evolve. Peterson's framework of voluntary exposure therapy teaches that the best antidote to fear is deliberate approach. When you willingly move into the unknown, bit by bit your nervous system adapts. And adaptation is cellular youth. because nothing keeps you young like a system still learning. Imagine life as a series of doorways. The young person keeps walking through them, even if they don't know what's on the other side. The aging mind avoids the door, builds a campfire in the hallway, and tries to relive a room that's no longer there. Here's a metaphor. You are a tree. Life is the wind. If you're rigid, you snap. If you bend, you grow stronger. Resilience is the roots. Adaptability is the sway. Both are needed. But it's the sway that lets you survive the storm without breaking your trunk. Now let's bring this home. Think of Devin, a 50-year-old former auto mechanic from Ohio. Electric vehicles took over the industry. His shop folded. Instead of spiraling, he took a certificate course in solar panel installation. Within 2 years, he's part of a green tech firm and mentors young trainees. His friends say he looks 10 years younger. Not because he changed his diet or skincare, but because he refused to become obsolete. You want a practical tip? Once a month, do something you've never done before that has a learning curve. It could be as small as taking a salsa class, reading a genre you hate, trying to code sketch, or learning the basics of a new language. The activity doesn't matter, the neuroplasticity does. Brain scans, Kemperman et al. Nature reviews. Neuroscience show that novelty increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps keep your brain sharp, mood balanced, and cognition youthful. That energy sparked in the brain translates directly to vitality in how you move, speak, and engage with the world. You want to stay young? Keep walking into unfamiliar rooms. Keep choosing discomfort when comfort becomes a cage. Keep risking embarrassment in the pursuit of expansion. Youth is motion, not aesthetics, and motion requires leaving behind the old you. The Stoics had a word for this kind of bravery: proheresis, the inner freedom to choose your response, no matter how uncertain the path. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Most people age because they stop daring. You don't have to. Here's another trick. Write a past expiry list. List 5 beliefs, habits, or identities that no longer serve you. Look at each one and ask, who would I be without this? Letting go isn't loss. It's shedding old skin so new layers can breathe. You weren't meant to be static. You were meant to molt. Let me be blunt, that those who resist change get left behind, not just by society, but by their own biology. Chronic attachment to routine and predictability leads to cognitive rigidity, a known predictor of early cognitive decline. Neuropsychologia, 2015. Meanwhile, flexible thinkers show greater adaptability under pressure, higher emotional intelligence, and longer mental sharpness into older age. This isn't about being trendy. It's about being mentally current. To live like water, not stone. To flow, reshape, adjust, and still remain you. Because you don't stay young by locking the doors of your past. You stay young by letting the future challenge you and answering, "I'm ready." If this thought hits something in you, if you've ever felt the ache of being left behind or the fear of no longer being needed, then know this: you are not finished. You are only outdated if you choose to stay that way. Everything in you can be updated. You don't need to reboot your life. You just need to install courage. And if you followed us this far, if something in this resonates, comment 3 below. It tells us you're listening. It means the world to us. This project lives on the edge between Stoicism and modern psychology, and every number you drop gives us the fuel to keep going. Thank you for walking this path with us. Now turn the page. Step through the door. The next version of you is waiting. Number 4. Your mind is not a dumpster. There's a kind of heaviness you carry without realizing. It's not your job, not your age, not even your responsibilities. It's the residue of other people's chaos, their drama, their bitterness, their need to be right, their war that has nothing to do with you. You don't just hear them, you absorb them. And then you wonder why your shoulders are tense, your face looks tired, your sleep is broken, and your mornings feel like a hangover with no alcohol. This is how people age in silence, not from time, but from letting their minds become storage units for emotional waste that wasn't even theirs to begin with. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." It's one of the most quietly powerful Stoic truths. Most people think clarity comes from control, but it doesn't. It comes from refusing contamination. A sharp, youthful mind is not one that knows everything. It's one that filters ruthlessly. It doesn't keep what doesn't serve. Think about Joe, 46, a restaurant manager in Tampa. Every night, he used to come home late, irritated, ranting about his co-workers' incompetence, customers' attitudes, and the mess he had to clean up. His wife said, "You never left work, you just brought it here." One day after a burnout scare, he flipped the switch. No more rants after 7 p.m. No work talk at dinner, one cold shower before bed, 10 minutes of silence. In 3 weeks, he was sleeping deeper. In 2 months, he looked visibly fresher. Turns out, he says, half of my aging came from thoughts that weren't mine. You don't grow old because of hard work. You grow old from carrying noise you didn't filter out. And the worst noise is unprocessed emotion from others. Arguments, gossip, political spats, friend group toxicity, guilt-tripping parents, bitter colleagues. You think you're just listening, but your nervous system records it like it's happening to you. Your cortisol rises, your sleep hormones tank, your mental clarity fogs. Jordan Peterson emphasizes that boundaries aren't selfish, they are survival tools. He says, you have to define who you are and what you stand for. Otherwise, you are a pawn in someone else's game. Letting others live rent-free in your head isn't compassion. It's self-abandonment. And self-abandonment leads to chronic psychological clutter, which over time reshapes your posture, dulls your gaze, and ages your spirit. Let's make this visual. Picture your brain like a high-end studio apartment. Minimalist, peaceful, clean. Every time you bring home someone's argument, their resentment, their energy, it's like dragging in a trash bag and dumping it in the corner. You don't smell it at first, but it lingers. And before long, the place doesn't feel like you anymore. Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus said, "The soul is harmed by any unnecessary disturbance." You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to correct every wrong. You don't need to download every emotion flung your way. Mental freshness is not just a vibe. It's a choice made hourly. Here's something practical design, a mental quarantine routine. Before entering your home or before bed, pause for 60 seconds. Ask yourself, what emotion or thought did I pick up that's not mine to carry? Say it out loud. Then say, I release it. Burn it if it helps. Journal it. Shower it off. But do not sleep with it. Sleep is your reset button, and no reset works if the system is still infected. Look at high performers who stay sharp into their 50s and 60s, not just physically, but energetically. You'll find a common thread: they don't internalize clutter. They might hear complaints, absorb chaos, face high-stakes decisions, but they have mental filters like steel. And that filter is what keeps the glow. A 2019 study from the University of California, Irvine, showed that emotional contagion, taking on other people's stress, has measurable physical effects, including disrupted sleep cycles, increased inflammation, and impaired decision-making. Which means you are what you mentally absorb. And if you absorb garbage, don't be shocked when your energy, appearance, and resilience start to rot from the inside out. People think they're tired because of workload, but many are tired because they're overstimulated with emotional trash. You're not exhausted, you're just infected by things that don't belong to you. So here's a rule to tattoo on your mind. If it didn't start in your heart, don't let it settle in your head. You weren't made to store resentment, carry ego wars, or recycle drama. You were made to build something clean. Your peace is not a luxury, it's maintenance. And maintenance is what keeps you vital. Because you don't look young, you look unbothered. Number 5, curiosity is your anti-aging serum. The moment you stop being curious is the moment life starts fading. Not fast, not loud, just a slow dimming of the eyes of the voice of the very pulse behind your thoughts. You start speaking in conclusions, not questions. You stop noticing new things. You scroll more, think less. And one day you wake up not older, but duller. Your mind hasn't aged. It's just gone numb. Let's be clear, curiosity is not a luxury. It's fuel. It's the inner fire that keeps your brain alive, your energy circulating, your soul alert. Without it, even the most physically healthy body becomes a mental tomb. Think of Michael, a 53-year-old accountant in Seattle. For years, his life was routine taxes, TV, weekend beers. But after a minor stroke at 49, he was told his mental agility was declining. His son gave him a chess set and a book on Roman history. At first, he resisted, said his brain wasn't wired for that stuff. Then he tried, and something flicked back on. 4 years later, he doesn't just look better, he acts younger. Why? Because he swapped passivity for pursuit. He feeds his mind something new every week, and the brain, like a muscle, responds to challenge with growth. Scientific research backs this up. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, and energy, is activated by novelty. The brain literally lights up when we learn something new. A 2020 study in Nature Neuroscience shows that curiosity not only boosts memory and learning, but also activates the reward system, helping regulate mood and reduce anxiety. Meaning, a curious brain is not just smarter, it's happier and younger on a biochemical level. The Stoics understood this too. Seneca said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." That line hits like thunder because it means if you're not learning, you're not really living. And if you're not living, you're aging in every way that matters. Now let's bring in Jordan Peterson. He insists that meaning is found in voluntary exploration of the unknown. He said, if you're not moving forward into new territory, you're stuck in the past, and the past will consume you. According to his framework, curiosity is your brain's compass. It pulls you toward complexity, and that complexity builds character. The man who remains curious is the man who remains adaptable, aware, and engaged. These are not soft virtues. They are the neurological underpinnings of youth. Here's an image: you are a lantern. Curiosity is the oil. Without it, the light flickers, dims, and dies. But keep feeding it new ideas, new angles, new questions, and the glow intensifies. That light makes your presence feel electric. People don't say you look young, they say you feel alive. Let's talk practicality. Start a 15-minute curiosity ritual. Every day, block 15 minutes to explore something totally outside your norm. A podcast on neuroscience, a documentary on bee colonies, a short story in a genre you usually avoid. The point isn't mastery, it's exposure. Stimulate your brain the way you'd stretch a muscle. Not for outcome, for activation. Now meet Lila, a 61-year-old former receptionist from Houston. When she retired, she felt herself fading slower, thoughts early depression, foggy days. One evening, she watched a documentary about marine life. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about octopus intelligence. She checked out a book, then another. 6 months later, she was volunteering at an aquarium and giving talks to school kids. Her doctor said her cognitive scores had improved. Her friends said she seemed more awake. That's curiosity, baby. No Botox required. Here's the real threat. People often confuse routine with stability. But too much routine is cognitive sedation. Your mind shrinks to fit the walls you never challenge. And over time, your sense of wonder dies. That death reflects on your face, your posture, your tone. Not because of age, but because you stopped reaching. Musonius Rufus taught the man who thinks he has nothing left to learn is more blind than the man who cannot see. If you've stopped asking why and how, if your days feel like loops with no friction, then you're not just stuck, you're shrinking. Here's a question to live by. What don't I know that would change everything? Ask it weekly. Chase the answers like a sport. Let yourself be a beginner again. Begin badly if you must, but begin. Because every new skill story or idea you engage with is a jolt of electricity through your entire system. To stay young is not to freeze time. It is to keep waking up curious. To live with a mind that still wants to taste the world. Youth is not the absence of years, it is the presence of wonder. Because you don't look young, you look awake. Number 6, emotional honesty is youth maintenance. You don't age when life hits you. You age when you swallow it all and smile like nothing happened. Repressed emotions don't vanish, they calcify. They tighten your jaw, harden your posture, dull your skin. You carry that sadness in your back, that rage in your gut, that guilt behind your eyes. And over time, your body starts to say what your mouth never could. It's not the crying that wears you out. It's refusing to cry. It's not the anger that breaks you. It's pretending it's not there. Emotional suppression is slow corrosion, biological, psychological, and spiritual. Scientific research confirms this. A 2013 study in psychosomatic medicine found that individuals who habitually suppress emotions show increased activation in the sympathetic nervous system, meaning their bodies stay in fight or flight mode even during rest. Over time, this chronic activation increases inflammation, accelerates cellular aging, and visibly affects the skin's elasticity and radiance. Let's meet Travis, 39, a firefighter in Colorado. Known for his stoic exterior, he spent years watching death and devastation without shedding a tear. Until one night, after a particularly brutal rescue, he broke down in his car. That breakdown became a breakthrough. He started therapy, wrote letters he never sent, took up boxing to release pent-up anger. 6 months later, he looked leaner, calmer, younger. I thought bottling it up made me strong, he says. Turns out it was killing me from the inside. The paradox: repression looks strong, but it ages you. Expression looks vulnerable, but it frees you. Marcus Aurelius, often mistaken for emotionless, actually wrote with incredible emotional intelligence. One lesser quoted line reads, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That untroubled retreat is not created by denial. It is created by clearing the clutter inside. Jordan Peterson puts it bluntly, "When you have something to say, silence is a lie." In his view, honest expression isn't just moral, it's physiological necessity. The refusal to confront or express emotions leads to internal chaos. His therapeutic work is grounded in the belief that naming a feeling robs it of its power. By articulating what you feel, especially the painful, shameful, ugly parts, you make it manageable, and your nervous system stabilizes. Here's an image: your emotional life is a pressure cooker. If you never release steam, something's going to explode. But open the valve, even for a moment, and the system resets. That's what healthy emotional expression does. It's not a breakdown. It's a release valve for vitality. Here's a practical daily ritual: the evening emotional debrief. Before bed, take 10 minutes. Ask yourself, what did I feel most strongly today and why? Then write down one sentence about it. No filters, no edits, just name it. That act alone has been shown in studies from UCLA to reduce amygdala activity, calming the brain's emotional response and improving sleep quality. And better sleep, that's anti-aging at its core. Let's meet someone else, Angela, 45. A corporate lawyer from New York. Tough on the outside, known for holding the line in high-pressure meetings. But for years, she suffered migraines, insomnia, and constant fatigue. A friend recommended improv comedy. Skeptical but desperate, she tried it. Something cracked open. She started laughing again, really laughing. She didn't quit her job or change her life, but she changed her emotional metabolism. Within months, her skin cleared, her migraines lessened, and people started saying, "You look lighter." And she was. The Stoics didn't say don't feel. They said don't be ruled by what you feel. That's a huge difference. Feel it fully. Name it clearly. Then move through it. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." But that imagination, the internal swirl of unexpressed, unnamed pain, is what creates chronic stress, the very root of premature aging. Emotional maturity is knowing when to cry, when to rage, when to talk, and when to sit still. It's a dance, not a dam. And people who dance with their emotions, instead of locking them up, age more like rivers flowing fresh, alive. Here's one more tip: assign physical outlets to specific emotions. Anger, go sprint or punch a bag. Sadness, cry to music with no shame. Joy, call someone and share it. Anxiety, walk without your phone and let your brain breathe. Emotions are energy, and energy, if not released, becomes pressure, and pressure ages the system. Youth isn't silence. Youth is emotional circulation. It's the ability to feel deeply without drowning, to express fully without collapsing. And when you master that, your face relaxes, your eyes brighten, your body sleeps better. You stop pretending, and that truth becomes beauty. Because you don't look young, you look emotionally free. Number 7, the room you live in ages you. It's not just what you eat or think that shapes how young you feel, it's what surrounds you. The air around you, the voices you hear, the tone of your conversations, the energy of the rooms you enter. Most people try to stay young while standing in toxic environments, wondering why they always feel drained, bitter, or tired. But here's the truth: you don't rise above your environment, you are shaped by it. Negativity isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet disapproval in a so-called friend's tone, the sarcasm that cuts beneath the jokes, the gossip that poisons trust, the passive complaints that suck the life out of the air. Exposure to this day in, day out isn't just emotionally draining, it's biologically aging. A study from Carnegie Mellon University found that individuals exposed to chronic negativity, especially in social contexts, show elevated levels of C-reactive protein, a marker for inflammation. Inflammation, as science confirms, is a major factor in premature aging, from skin deterioration to weakened immunity and cognitive decline. Let's look at Kayla, 40, a nurse in Boston. After years of working in a high-pressure hospital, she realized her off hours weren't helping her decompress, they were drowning her. Her friend group thrived on complaints, drama, bad news. Conversations felt more like venting marathons. One day she said nothing, just listened. And it hit her: this is not healing, this is emotional erosion. She quietly stepped back, joined a small hiking group, began spending Sundays in nature instead of coffee shops filled with chaos. 6 months later, her co-workers asked what skincare she was using. She wasn't using anything new. She had just redecorated her emotional environment. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." The Stoics weren't antisocial, they were selective. They knew the mind feeds on what it's near. Keep it near bitterness and it wilts. Keep it near honesty, effort, laughter, and it blooms. Youth is not about rejecting people. It's about refusing to be consumed by them. Jordan Peterson takes it a step further. If you surround yourself with people who support your cynicism and laziness, you will never change. According to Peterson's view, the social circle isn't just a comfort zone, it's a programming system. The beliefs, habits, and emotional tone of your closest people directly impact how your nervous system operates. And if that system is constantly in survival mode, defending against drama, gossip, resentment, you'll feel old regardless of your age. Think of it this way. Your social life is like your diet. Junk in, junk out. Even small doses of real positivity. A friend who listens without fixing, someone who laughs easily, someone who holds space without judgment, can rewire your emotional baseline. And that wiring shows on your face, in your voice, in your posture. Here's a visual. Imagine your life as a greenhouse. Every person who enters either brings sunlight or shadow. Some warm you, some stunt your growth. Your job is not to curse the cold. Your job is to control the temperature inside. A simple practice: once a week, do a social audit. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Beside each name, jot down what you consistently feel after time, with them drained or energized, hopeful or heavy, expanded or anxious. No judgment, just notice. Then make one micro shift: more time with one person who nourishes you, less time with one who doesn't. Let's meet Chris, 44, a software engineer in Austin. Introverted, brilliant, but always tired. After a health scare, he started looking beyond diet and sleep. His therapist asked, "What's your social diet like?" It clicked. He'd spent years in a group chat filled with sarcasm, competition, low-key resentment. He left it without fanfare. Reached out to 2 old college friends instead, ones who asked real questions, gave honest feedback, and talked about building things, not tearing them down. It wasn't dramatic, but it was transformative. He says he laughs more, sleeps better, looks people in the eye more, feels younger. Because youth isn't noise, it's lightness. And lightness grows where laughter, trust, and forward momentum exist. The Stoic ideal isn't isolation, it's curated connection. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." In today's terms, drop the group chat that leaves you angry. Skip the coffee with the person who only dumps problems. Lean into people who challenge your thinking without attacking your worth. Another daily ritual. Start each morning with a micro-dose of positive contact. A voice message to someone you respect. A note of gratitude. A short call. Don't wait for positivity to find you. Generate it. As the broaden and build theory by psychologist Barbara Fredrickson suggests, positive emotions expand our awareness and build psychological resources that improve well-being over time, both mentally and physically. Forgiveness also plays a role. Lingering bitterness over past hurts is like carrying a toxin your body can't process. Forgiveness isn't excusing the past. It's refusing to let it pollute your present. And nothing restores a youthful glow faster than dropping the weight of what you can't change. Choose people who smile when they see you, who make you feel safe to be fully yourself, who laugh fully, cry honestly, and show up when it's inconvenient. These are the fountains of youth modern medicine can't replicate. Because you don't look young, you look well surrounded. Conclusion: you weren't meant to fade. The world has quietly sold you a lie, that aging is purely genetic, that energy fades with time, that weariness is just part of being an adult. But look closer, and you'll see the truth is much harsher and much more liberating. People don't age because of years. They age because they stop fighting for their aliveness. You've seen it. The man whose face hardens not from sun, but from surrender. The woman whose eyes dim not from sleep, but from stopped curiosity. The posture that slouches not from time, but from carrying the invisible weight of regret, people-pleasing, and the unbearable heaviness of fitting in. You weren't meant to survive on default. You weren't meant to decay politely in the corner. You were meant to resist entropy with presence, with choice, with fire. Youth is not a decade, it's a stance. And that stance is earned, not with makeup, not with green smoothies, but with decisions, hard ones, every day. The decision to speak truth instead of hiding, to stay curious instead of jaded, to filter your circle instead of clinging, to express emotion instead of sealing it inside your bones, to live by principle, not fashion. Let's be brutally honest, most people rot from the inside out while smiling for the camera. They die in motion, applauded for their polite conformity. But you don't owe the world that slow suicide of self-erasure. You owe it your most unyielding, most intentional, most quietly defiant version. So here's your final mirror. Are you becoming sharper with time or just softer in submission? At Victory Stoic, we don't sell shortcuts. We offer systems, battle-tested, soul-hardened, rooted in ancient philosophy and fused with modern psychology from Marcus Aurelius to Jordan Peterson. If even one line here struck a nerve, if even one truth made your breath catch, then help us spread this fire. Like the video, if it woke something up in you. Share it with someone you refuse to watch decay. Subscribe if you're ready to build the kind of character that reverses time from the inside out. Comment 1 if this resonated with you. Comment 0 if you're still unsure, because even that honesty helps us sharpen the message. And if you're willing, share your story in the comments. What has aged you? What has kept you young? What truth hit hardest today? Your words matter. They guide us. They remind others they're not alone. Thank you for walking this road with us. Thank you for choosing fight over fading. Thank you for listening.